Yo, what is going on, homies? It's your boy Stumped back for another OPTC video, and in today's video, we're taking the new Legend Magellan into the Forest of Training Magnetic and taking on Yuita's Kid. So this is the team, these are the supports, let's dive in. Alright, so we're over here on stage 12, and this is where the forest starts to get real interesting. So we come up against Beej, Vito, and Grotty. They put up 10 turns of damage reduction in Threshold, but don't stress because it's not that much damage reduction in Threshold. You can actually get through it with the switch abilities of Shanks and Vivi Rebecca. So I thought I was pretty much done with the world tour of the 3 new units, but I was sort of thinking about it, and I don't think I gave Magellan as much recognition as he actually deserves. So I wanted to take him into a forest, and because I already did the Hawkins Forest with Moria, I thought, hey, let's just try the Magnetic Forest with Magellan and see how we go. And funny enough, I actually managed to put this team together and actually worked quite well, but there is some sort of key note to this team, and we are utilizing the support of Onigumu on our versus Kainu. That is kind of essential, but in saying that too, I don't really recommend running this team if you are trying to take this forest down. I will leave a link to it in the description or a card at the top of the video, or I will try to remember to my Ace run. If you guys have verse Ace, because I'm assuming you would if you are running versus Kainu, if you have verse Ace, he can just do this forest so much better. And if you are struggling with this forest, I would highly recommend using that team. Not this particular team, but this particular team was a lot of fun. And I did have a lot of fun sort of challenging myself with the Magnetic Forest, as Kid is a Dex unit when you get to the final stage, and Magellan is a quick captain. So I did have a lot of fun utilizing this, but like I said, we did kind of cheat a little bit with the verse kind of with the Oniguma support. But as you guys saw on the Rogue stage, we did use the Dawn Krieg and Jin special to remove the defense up, and we could take him out easy peasy. Once we hit the next stage, it starts to get a little bit interesting. We come up against 2 of Kid's crewmates. I cannot remember the names. It's Burn, the guy is a fire breather, and then that guy with a pitchfork just looks like a bug. On this particular turn, we're actually going to stall on the Int unit, and with our barrier pen and the super typing with Magellan, we can easily just destroy the strength unit. But unfortunately, they roll our specials back and they give us 3 turns of special bind, so we will have to hang around on this particular stage just for a little bit. You can kill this stage very, very quickly, but once you get to the next stage, it gets a little bit tricky when you come up against Killer, because you can't really be utilizing too many specials because you're special blinded, you've got special reverse, you need to get rid of damage reduction, and it becomes a bit of a kerfuffle. So we are going to hang around on this particular stage. Make sure to switch with Vivi Rebecca to get some healing. Make sure to switch with Dawn Krieg and Jin to get the damage reduction, but with Magellan as your captain, getting that auto heal at the end of turn, very similar to things like Sanji Pudding and Hawkins. You will get a lot of healing back at the end of this stalling phase, so I'll see you guys once we get to that point. So once Vivi Rebecca basically gets to a 2-turn cooldown, we can take this guy out. Now, I would highly recommend being crew in or the quick variation of Shanks crew before you move on. You actually want to make sure that you swap into Shanks. Very important that you actually do that, otherwise you won't have the damage to take out Killer on this stage. Killer has 5 turns of damage reduction here, and lets you use 1 special, which is very, very annoying, and he has a counter mechanic, which means all the damage you do to him, he's going to throw it back to you at about 1,000,000 times the threshold. So we're going to start the chain with our Vivi Rebecca. We'll remove the damage reduction with our special, giving ourselves a 2 times color affinity buff to Cerebrals, which means Shanks is going to be hitting very, very hard. So make sure to hit with Shanks as the side variation. Very important that you do that. On to the next stage against Big Mom. Now, against Big Mom, you need to make sure that you have double special activation on one of your Magellans, or you need to make sure that one of your Magellans doesn't get binded. That way you can activate both of them. I'd highly recommend trying to bring a friend that is rainbowed or have double special activation on level 5 for either yours and your friend Magellans. That way you can remove all the bind on this stage. You get the poison, you get the 2.5 times attack, and with the Akainu special, you can actually rotate the block orbs into quick orbs, and we can get a chain lock. And as you can see, Big Mom just gets absolutely devoured. On to the next stage, we come up against Hawkins, Page 1, and X-Drake. They give us remove sound effects for 3 turns. They have 1 turn of defense up, and you can't use attack boost on this stage. So we have to switch with Shanks crew for our attack boost. We're going to use his special for a 3.5 times chain lock. And then ideally, we're going to switch into our strength variations of Vivi Rebecca and Dawn Krieg and Jin. Once we've done that, we are going to use the Dawn Krieg and Jin special to remove the defense up and get an orb buff. And then the main focus of this particular stage is to take out Basil Hawkins. Now, ideally, you want to be the side variation of Shanks crew, so you can just do a little bit more damage, and that way it just helps out, and you can actually switch to, what's his name? Page 1 a little bit easier, but unfortunately for me, I kind of stuffed up. Switching to Page 1 on that stage is just so goddamn annoying, unless you're attacking with a character that has, 5 attack pattern or something like that. When, you know that you're going to get the kill and you switch early. It's very, very annoying to switch to page 1. But ideally, you do want to switch to page 1, as page 1 starts blowing away your units every single turn. On turn 1, he blows away 1, and then it's 2, and then it's 3, and then it's just basically 3 random units for the rest of the time that you're alive on this stage. But if you do lose your captains, you will lose a lot of HP. So if you do lose your captains and you get stuck on this stage where, like I do, make sure to reload the game. Otherwise, you will, like, very similar to what you would do on the Big Mom stage if you got binded on your Magellan. That way, if he blows away your captains, which I think he's about to do now, just reload and come back into the game. So when you come back into the game, he just basically, the RNG kicks back in. It's 3 new random members, and then make sure that your 2 Magellans don't get blown away. Otherwise, you'll lose a lot of HP. Now, ideally, you want to make sure you move into the next stage with around 30,000 HP. And if you manage to keep X-Drake, or kill X-Drake and keep page 1 alive, it's a lot easier to do, as X-Drake just does like a death hit on turn 3, and you can easily kill X-Drake before that stage. It's way, way easier. Once we hit the next stage against King, though, he actually gives us, is it 6 turns? Yeah, 6 turns of Despair. He puts up 3 turns of damage reduction and Threshold, and binds our ship for 4 turns. This is where the support of Onigumu is amazing, because we can remove the Despair by 2 turns, but that's why taking damage against page 1 isn't an issue on the previous turn, as we only have 32,000 HP when we hit this stage anyway, so if we take some damage, it's not the end of the world, as long as we are at max HP. On turn 1, make sure you use the versatility of your Ace Akainu. Very, very important that you actually use the versatility of Ace Akainu. You need to make sure that you are doing this, that way whenever King puts up the barrier for the next 3 turns, it's not going to matter what color orb it is, because we've already made quick orbs matching for our powerhouse and driven units. King does have a pattern with his barrier. I think it starts as like quick, and then it's int, dex, strength, psi. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes, but unfortunately for us, we do have to stall out the damage reduction and the threshold, and the big reason that we need the Onigumu here is so that we can actually get rid of the Despair. We get rid of 2 turns of the Despair, and it actually helps keep us alive. Now, I don't know if it's essential, but it allows us to get more max HP, which therefore allows us to eat any recovery orbs that pop up. But just looking at this, I don't know if it is essential. I'm actually just trying to think if it like actually affects anything in terms of damage. I don't think it does really, so you should be okay without the Onigumu support. As long as you've got Versa Kainu, you should be okay. But any recovery orbs, you do want to make sure you eat them after the Despair goes away, because that way we get our max HP back. But I suppose when King hits you as well, like, you are going to lose HP, so you can heal back as well. So I really don't think it's essential, but it might be. Let me know in the comment section below if you try this team and you don't use the Onigumu support. But what we're going to do here is we're going to activate the super typing of our Magellan as well, which means all the damage that King is going to do to us is going to turn into like 25% healing, I'm pretty sure. We have the switchability of Vivi Rebecca. That's also going to give us some healing. We also have the switchability of Don Krieg and Jin. That's going to give us 20% damage reduction every single turn. And we have some pinch healing. If you hit your perfects when you're below 50% HP with Vivi Rebecca and your Magellans, you're actually going to get a bunch of pinch healing. That's where I'm thinking that Onigumu might be essential, as when we get our max HP back, as you guys can see, I'm easily below 50% HP. I can get about 6k back with the switchability of Vivi Rebecca, my auto heal sockets, as well as my pinch healing. And that way, that 9k that King is actually doing isn't that scary. But just remember the order of the barrier. Once we get to the strength, the int variation, the next one is going to be strength. Or dex. No, the next one's dex. I'm a smackhead. The next one's dex. And we can easily give ourselves a Dex Orb, as we have our Vivi Rebecca next to Shanks' crew. It's very, very easy to get the Dex Orb, as all we have to make sure that we are is Vivi, and then we can switch with Shanks' crew after that. Then we get the the Dex Orb, and then on the next turn, we can guarantee ourselves the Strength Orb, as we can switch with Vivi Rebecca once again, and then switch with Shanks' crew. So having Vivi Rebecca next to Shanks' crew is basically the cheat code to this particular stage. Obviously, there are other ways to get the orbs as well. You've got Natural Orb Roll. You've also got Don Krieg and Jin that can guarantee you the Strength Orb. So don't stress too much about this particular stage, as when he does put up that orb barrier, he actually normally makes that orb unfavorable. But because we use the versatility of Versa Kainu, we also have the conditional boost. We have the switchability of both Shanks and Vivi Rebecca every turn. So we have a lot of damage. And by that third turn, once the ship bind goes away, we will be able to take out King easy peasy. So once we've taken out King, we're going to move on to the next stage against Kaido. Now, this stage is very, very scary, mainly because we're using the Zunisha, but the beauty of Magellan is actually a burn remover. Now, on turn 1 against Kaido, he puts up nullified damage against Psy units, so you ideally want to switch into the crew variation of Shanks, but unfortunately for me, I was switching into the Psy variation, but nevertheless, it didn't matter too much, as because of the super typing of Magellan giving us so much healing on the previous stage, we actually have a lot of HP, so we don't have to stress too much about this Kaido stage, as we can hang around here for a little bit. We're on the second turn though. Kaido is only going to let us use 2 specials for 10 turns. He's going to do around 10,000 damage, and he's going to apply 5 turns of a burn. Now, what I actually do here is I actually use the Magellan special on the first turn of the burn. Ideally, you want to actually hang on to that for the next turn when you're actually in the Psy variation of Shanks' crew. That way you can just output a little bit more damage, but do not hit a perfect here. As you can see, I'm just hitting goods because, like, I, like, almost stuffed up this run, so, like, well, I actually died on this forest 3 times thanks to the burn of Kaido. Mainly because Zunisha makes it so much easier to hit perfects that even when you're trying to hit greats, like, half the time, like, you're going to hit a support perfect, and it's going to do 25,000 damage, and it is going to kill you, and it is going to hurt. So, just be mindful of Kaido's burn, and just be mindful of your damage. Just hit some goods, because, like, with the amount of HP this team has, thanks to that Magellan recovery, you will be in very good stead. So, nevertheless, I was super impressed with Magellan's ability in Forests. He is very, very good for Forest, because he is very, very good at recovering his HP. Any character that has really good HP recovery is always going to be very, very strong when it comes to Forests. As you guys saw there, once the burn went away, we could just hit our perfects and we could easily move on. And that way we can hit the final stage against Kid. Now, against Kid, we're actually going to take 2 turns here. Mainly because Kid doesn't have full immunity, which means we can actually poison Kid, which is great. Not only can we poison Kid, but we can also apply the burn mechanic thanks to Versa Kainu. So on turn 1, we're going to switch with Shanks' crew, get the Psy variation, because obviously quick units aren't super effective against Dex units, so the less quick units we have, the better, right? We're going to use the Shanks' crew special to give us the 3.5 times chain lock for 3 turns. And then we're going to switch into Vivi Rebecca to get some healing. We're going to get the damage reduction with Don Krieg and Jin. And then we're literally just going to pass the turn. We're going to cop a shot from Kid here. The poison's going to do a little bit of damage, but the main reason we're going to cop a shot from Kid is so that way we can actually use the Magellan special once again. We can then use the special of Versa Kainu, and that way we've got an orb buff, we have a chain lock, we have an attack boost, we have a color affinity boost, and then with the versatility of Versa Kainu, we also have a conditional boost against the burn mechanic, which is really, really nice. So this team has a lot of buffs and a lot of damage for a team that is predominantly quick based and led by a quick captain. So it was actually a lot of fun to get this done. I was super impressed with Magellan, and I actually have been since his release. I was saying Moria was the best of the batch, but I do believe Magellan is the most valuable, if not just as good as Moria. He's probably just not as flexible when it comes to regular gameplay. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, make sure you go down there and belt the like button for me if you're new to the channel. Hit that big red subscribe button too. But guys, wherever you are in this beautiful world, please remember to enjoy the rest of your day. As always, homies, I thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Let's